I'll burn the pancakes and probably the house too, but baby, it's stuck to me like glue.
Good evening, my friends and lovers and family and colleagues. Maybe it's not evening where you are. It is evening for me. I'm on my way to a girls' prom that I'm working. And I was a little upset. They took out 2 hours of the shift, or he had a typo, whatever. And really, I'm just here because I needed a day to get dolled up. Well, I'm in a black suit, whatever. I can hardly move. I don't know how guys do this. Although that's kind of like their thing, you know? They're like, they stand up straight and they can't move. And then when they get to take their tie off, not the point. I'm also in it for the food. Let's be honest. If I don't get fed, that would be very unfortunate. But we did last year, and that was nice. Not the point of what I wanted to share with you. I'll admit, the last couple weeks, I've been going through a little bit of a depression. It's very functional, and I'm fine. But it was just like stirring in me. Like I kept listening to jazz music, and, you know, I keep watching Frasier, and I'm in this very like romantic, lovey-dovey mood. And I had these thoughts, and I didn't know how I was going to do a podcast episode because I was like, fuck, I don't know how to put into words how I'm feeling. And then I think it kind of just hit me now. Reflections of Evelyn is just that. It's not like, okay, this is a statement and it's going to be this way forever. It's thoughts, it's moments, and they might change along the way. It's the most human thing I could possibly say, right? And like life, you move with it. I think for a long time, I was like, okay, get to the next step in life and make sure you clear out all the bullshit. And then this is what you're striving for in life. And I don't know how I became so structured like that, or if that's just kind of how society kind of makes you. But I had this thought, and, you know, I was going to text my friend, and then I was like, nah, he's like not the right guy to ask this at all. And then I asked my other friend, and I'm like, you know, he'll give me the answer I want to hear, but he also is the type of guy that would agree with this. And I was right. He did. And I basically texted my friend and I said, hey, I'm trying to break down something that I feel, and I haven't really been able to figure it out. And I told him, I met a stranger the other day on the dating app. He came over to my house like super late at night. He was very impulsive about it. It was kind of weird. And the entire time we were talking, I was like, man, I am not interested in this guy at all. Like, at all. I liked some of the things that he said on his profile, but, you know, some people don't necessarily speak the truth on it. I don't know. Oh, man, I have so many things I want to tell you guys right now. Oh, man, I hope it makes sense to you. I hope it resonates in a way that could help you. Oh, it's helping me right now. So I messaged my friend. I said, hey, I'm very uninterested in this guy. And I told him like a week or so ago, I said, you know what? I just don't think we're very compatible. I wish you nothing but the best. Like, I had a nice time with you, but, you know, and I didn't want to tell him all the thoughts that were in my head. I was honest with him, but I didn't need to tell him all the ways that I felt about him, because, you know, some of them are a little, we're not even gonna say the things that I was worried about, right? I did realize that some of what I was experiencing, there was one moment in the evening where I was pretty triggered. And I was like, oh, that must mean he is this way. And I had to learn something about triggers, that it's not the person, it's not the situation, but it reminds you of something that you don't like. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the person is the same thing as like what happened to you, right? Let me get to the juicy bits. So basically, I hung out with this guy and talked to him for like 3 hours or something. And then he's like, I'm starving. I have to go get pizza. So he left to go get pizza. And he said like 10 times, like, should I come back? Should I come back? Should I come back? I was like, I don't know, man. Do you want to come back? Like, come back. I don't care. Like, I didn't have anything I was doing. I was like, I was in the mood to shoot the shit. So, I did. And he took forever to get this fucking pizza. And I was like, why is he taking forever? So he comes back. He eats the pizza. And I'm staring at this pizza thinking like, oh my God, is he not going to offer me a slice? Like, I hate this. Like, I'm going through the check boxes in my mind. Like, oh my God, this is why I wouldn't date you. Like, you don't even offer me your food. I was like, hey, can I have a slice of pizza? He's like, oh, are you hungry? Like, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, I'm always hungry. But, he's a stranger, so he doesn't know that about me. He doesn't know I'm like addicted to food or whatever. I always want food, even if I'm not hungry. Then he's like, hey, do you want to watch a scary movie? And I'm thinking, absolutely fucking not. You guys know me. Like, I don't want to watch a fucking scary movie. No. And then he's like, I'll watch anything you want. Like, the sky's the limit. Anything. And I was like, okay, how about this? He's like, absolutely not. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I don't want to watch a scary movie. Like, what the fuck? And then I was like, I don't want to get the whole projector set up and do all that. And like, I just want to like get cozy. I was like, okay, are you okay watching in the bedroom? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. So he didn't have an idea of what to watch. And I was looking for something free on the streaming app of my friends that I use. And I'm like, fuck it. Like, let's watch that Hannibal movie, where he fucking eats people. What was it called? Yeah. So we watched Silence of the Lambs, right? I was like, I'll meet you in the middle. Like, let's watch a psychological thriller because I could handle those ones. And he actually liked the movie, although he kept talking during the movie. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not that girl. If I'm going to watch a movie, I'm going to watch the movie. Like, shut up so we can watch the movie. I cannot believe I did not realize what was happening right in front of my eyes. Like, obviously, Evelyn needs, more practice. It's not even practice. It's just like, I was just with all the wrong people. I think I can accredit it to that. It ended up being like a Netflix and chill situation, right? So he's talking. And I was like, okay, yeah. Like, I was like, okay, well, it's nice he wants to talk. Like, he's laying in my bed and we're just talking. Like, this is cool. This is nice, right? And then, I don't know, somewhere along the line, he probably, such a sly little bastard. He brought up like cuddling or something, or I brought it. I don't think I would have brought it up because I was like uninterested in this guy, but I was like, he was chill. So whatever. I had no sexual attraction to him, like whatsoever. And I was like, yeah, I could cuddle. Like, and I told him about the story about how in college I had this cuddle buddy and it was very bizarre. All we did was cuddle. We never had sex. We never kissed. It wasn't romantic. He would come over to my dorm and we would cuddle. It was so fucking weird. Even my roommates would come in and they're like, what the fuck? They're like, oh, we're sorry. And they're like, oh, they're just cuddling. It was so weird. I can't explain it. I told him this story. And so, we're cuddling. He's kind of a bony cuddler. Like, okay, it's like, whatever. Like, fine, whatever. And then I honestly can't remember how it happened. I was probably like in a haze or whatever. But, skip forward a few, steps. And then we start kissing. Or like he kissed me. I don't know what happened. Let's just say that that's what happened. And so now he's kissing me. And I was thinking to myself while he was kissing me, I was like, wow, this guy's like a really good kisser. So we're like making out. And I'm thinking, damn, when's the last time I've like made out with a guy? And it weirded me out. It honestly did. Cause I was like, man, like I really love making out. And this guy's like super down and he's good at it. I'm like, this is so weird. So obviously one thing led to another. And then I was like, okay, hold on. Let me get a condom. And he's like, no, I got one right here in my pocket. We're good. I said, you have a condom in your pocket? And he's like, yeah, on my way back, I stopped at the liquor store. I was like, damn, you're good. you're good, right? Obviously, this is to show you the types of people that were in my life in the last 5 years. Now, mind you, in my 20s, I had wonderful lovers and I had no problem getting guys. In my 30s, it seems to be, it's like, okay, I'm the same person, but why is it so difficult? Right? So anyways, he pulls out a condom. And then you guys, guess what happened next? He put the condom on himself. He didn't ask me to put it on for him. I was like, wow. My mind was blown at this point. I was like, man, it's been a minute. And I, made a comment to him saying like, wow, you even put your own condom on. He's like, why the fuck would I not? I was like, man, you're telling me, man. You'd be surprised what I've seen, man. Anyways, so we're going to town. And I'm like, I don't know, halfway through, I was like, you're kind of a good lover. Like, I'm kind of impressed. But my brain psychologically was tripping out the entire time because I was like, I don't understand. Why is a guy that I'm completely unattracted to, not interested in at all, like, don't really have chemistry. There's no spark. But I'm like super chill. And, what's going on with that? Like, what's missing here? Like, I don't understand. Flash forward to, 2 weeks later or whatever. And, I keep kind of recalling back to a couple moments we had. And, I felt bad. I felt guilty. The typical, human guilt where I'm like, I told this guy I didn't like see him that way. So I didn't want to like waste his time or anything. But I sent him an audio message, maybe like, I don't know, an hour ago. And I basically kind of explained what I'm explaining to you now. And I said, I don't really understand this. I said, there were two guys. I've only liked two guys in the last 5 years. Both of them horrible lovers. Horrible. And I'm thinking to myself, how did I like these guys, but they were horrible lovers? And I remember thinking about these two guys, like they better fucking show up with food, they better provide protection, and they better fucking love me good. And I think that was like what my headspace was. And in hindsight, like as I'm talking to you now, I was like, Evelyn, you liked really horrible people. You felt like they had to do all of these things for you because technically all you really wanted from them was sex and pleasure. And they weren't, one of them couldn't really have sex. He had a huge intimacy issue. He had like a sex phobia. We're not even going to get into that one. The other one, he was begrudging about it. I'm just trying to come over and hang out with you. You're the one that wants to have sex. Like that kind of attitude. Yeah, total winners, right? Like totally was interested in these winners. And, I think it's because I was still trying to get over my ex. I was still I was in this headspace of like, I want to be in a relationship. So you're not allowed to have sex. So you got to put these guys in this box to make them relationship status so that you can have sex. And then it kind of all came full circle for me. And I'm like, oh my God, Evelyn, as much as I don't want to admit it, and I haven't put my finger on everything I'm saying right now. And no, I would not want this situation to happen to me. Although I guess if I didn't like them and they didn't like me, then maybe it wouldn't be a problem. I guess it only sucks when you like them. But my point is, I was so in this realm for a while saying to myself, you want a good, stable, secure, affectionate, loving, dominant man. And that's the only thing you're going to look for. And if you can't find that, then whatever. And so I tried to do the, only have sex thing, and that didn't work. And then I kept repeating to myself constantly. I kept saying to myself constantly, well, if I'm not going to find this dream man, for 5 or 10 years, it's already been 5 years, and we see how the dating market is, and we see that we live in 2026. I don't need to say anything more about that. I was like, well, how am I going to get my needs met? If I'm looking for the one and dating has been like impossible, how am I going to have sex? Now, mind you, I didn't mention this before, but I meant to tell you that lovely date that I was excited to go on, and we were going to go to this Twin Peaksy diner, and he was FaceTiming me and calling me every day, blah, 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 blah. Well, the bastard reneged on the date 4 days in. And we had like 3 days to our date. And he's like, yeah, I just found out about myself that I don't really know what I want. And I know I don't want to date. So I want to cancel our date, which is essentially what he said. And I was like, God damn it. And I thought to myself, well, I really just wanted to go on a date to a diner. That sucks for me, but fine. Like, Godspeed. Things were on good terms, but it was very weird and awkward. And I do think in hindsight, it was more of like me settling, and I just wanted to go on a date, and I wanted to dip my toes. I wanted to get my feet wet. I wanted to try it out, because it's been, sad lately in the dating scene for Evelyn. Anyways, this guy was like 2 days later, and he was very impulsive. He's like, hey, like, I have this very weird work schedule, and he does. And he's like, can I come over like now? I'm like, dude, it's 8:00 and you live like 60 miles away. Like, are you on drugs? You want to come over now? That just sounds like it's only gonna be sex. But ironically, that's not how he played the game at all. He like literally just wanted to talk. And it was like weird. It was like, no, I didn't slip on a dick. I don't know. Maybe there's like a tactic that some men have, and he's just like a smooth operator. I don't know. It was like impressive what he did. But I have this thing with guys, which is like honesty. And I think I care more, strip away how much money you have, what you look like, what your status is, how tall you are, all the bullshit things that people think about. What I care most about is honesty. And like you literally being you being yourself, not being anybody else. And so I even mentioned to this guy that night, I was like, oh my God, like we're going to have sex. Like that's wild. He didn't try to like flirt his way in. It was like serious talk and then boom, sex. It was so weird. There was no even thought that was going to happen. And I told him, I was like, I have mad respect for that. I said, I have no problems hooking up with a guy. Just be honest and tell me what your motives are. Don't be doing something behind the scenes in your head going, oh, how can I get her into bed? I'm like, dude, you could probably get me into bed. Just don't be fucking weird about it. That's kind of like my attitude. Anyways, I messaged this guy and I just told him, I said, I just wanted to give you like a weird compliment. I said, no, I don't necessarily think we're like good for each other, but I did want to give you a compliment. Like you're a decent lover. Like I said, I honestly don't understand why. I told him that. I literally told him, I was like, I don't like you. I don't see you that way, but I don't know why you're a good lover. But I do think it's funny that I look at these two guys that I had this stupid situationship with, and it's almost like, Evelyn, were you liking two people that subconsciously, this was not conscious at all, but subconsciously I knew that they were shitheads, but I like was okay with them being shitheads. So I kept putting all these parameters on how things had to be. And they weren't even able to do very simple things. And then with this guy, he just like shows up. He's himself. It's like weird. Like I'm not into him. And I'm like, yeah, I'll have sex with you. I don't know. Maybe it's just like a different tactic. But it blew my mind in hindsight thinking of these two other guys. And I was like, Well, you thought you liked them. Apparently, you were in a period of your life where you wanted to be with some shitheads. Not that you thought that's what you deserved and what your worth was, but for whatever reason, you wanted to be with assholes. And they were incredibly lousy lovers. And I'm like, yeah, Evelyn, but you liked them. How were they so lousy? How do I not like this guy? And he wasn't lousy. And I started like looking it up on Google. I'm like, oh, Google, you're no help. That's not helpful. And then I like how Google's like, but make sure it's mutual. And I'm like, yeah, fuck you. Like, okay, we don't need any of your like modern day whatever. Like, I understand it needs to be mutual. Like, we get that. Okay. But it is funny to me that I have this like complex with guys that are like, oh, we have to have sex, or oh, you just wanted me to come over so we could have sex. And I don't know, it's like I was dating women or something. I don't really understand that at all. Like, I guess I was the man in those relationships. I wore the pants in those situationships, right? But something I have to contend with, which actually is making me like come alive right now, and because it's honest, it doesn't matter how it sounds because it's like honest. I'm like, Evelyn, you do want a relationship. But I always say I have a past life, right? So when I talk about my life, there's the last 5 years and then there's my past life. So in my past life, I had 2 dual relationships. I was leading a dual life that like half the people knew about and half the people didn't. Well, to the one that I was married to, we shared a bed together. We went to parties. We traveled together. Also, maybe not super passionate and loving in the bedroom. But what was interesting about that dynamic is I could get that guy to begrudgingly propose and marry me. I got him to say, yeah, I'll be in a relationship with you. And I shared a life with that man. To the man I was actually in love with and wasn't in a relationship with, I shared my soul with that man. So my point is, I couldn't figure out for so long why I was so in love with the guy I shared my soul with. He wasn't in this box. He had commitment issues. He didn't want to be in a relationship. I don't know if that he didn't want to. I still believe that he wanted to, but he couldn't. He just wasn't capable of it, unfortunately. But like, I shared my soul with that guy. So who I actually was to my core, everything I believed in, everything I loved about life and who I am was who I shared with that man. It was raw. It was passionate. It was very, cringe. I remember, I was like 21 to 29 when I was with that guy. And it was cringy. I was going from being like this sheltered conservative girl to finding myself. So I said a lot of stupid shit. I was all over the place. Like I literally shared all of myself and all of its weirdness. And I wasn't trying to like be somebody that I wasn't. And somehow he fucking loved it. And I miss that guy every day of my life. Fuck that guy. Miss him, love him, but fuck that guy. I do think it's interesting, though, that I had this other relationship, with someone on paper that was good, that was established and, whatever. But he was kind of horrible. I think it's interesting. And I'm only talking about my life. I think you can't go off of some Instagram, or you can't go off of society, because everybody has a different kind of story. So it's like when you deep dive into psychology or philosophy, or you talk to a therapist, they have to actually know who you are. And psychology is fascinating because it's like we aren't all the same necessarily. So it's hard. Like, I give mad props to therapists and doctors because on one hand, there are things that are similar and some things in society that makes us similar, but some of us are also more cultured. Some of us have lived multiple lives in multiple places. So, it's kind of hard to give advice or help sometimes. Like, we're not living the same life. I guess it's more about what resonates with you, what sticks with you, what you can take in your life to make you better for yourself. But I just thought the disparity was so weird. I was like, I got this guy, like, convinced him to marry me, and he fucking hated me. He didn't love me. I think he used me as a beard of sorts. He didn't care what I was really doing behind the scenes because he didn't love me. He didn't respect me from day one. And I think my intuition knew that the whole time. And I was coping and smoking and and then I would go be free around the person that I was totally in love with. And I'm not going to talk about that guy because, I'm still working on that. I mentioned in the previous episode, I've reached the acceptance, but let's not give that guy too many mad props. I guess my point is, listen how this sounds. This guy that agreed to marry me and love me and support me and till death do you part broke up with me in a text message because he said, I don't care if this medication was killing you. If you don't go back on it, then no, I won't consider, getting back in a relationship with you. Like, he told me that. I said, hey, I had to get off this medication. I needed somebody to support me as I was weaning off of this. And he's like, the only chance I would consider getting back together with you is if you went back on medication. I'm like, I would have died. And I think it's funny that this life I shared with this man, it's like, if we were just going by the books or the resume or what it was supposed to look like, which I think a lot of people do, what it looks like, not what it feels like, but what it should be like. I think when you start saying, well, it should be this or it should look like that, that's almost like when you know it's wrong. But if something feels right to you and it calms you and it makes you happy. There was this thing this guy posted, friends with on Facebook, and he posted this thing like, oh, because it's like the new trendy thing to say that butterflies means that you're having like a panic attack or a nervous wreck, and that's actually like stray away from those types of feelings because it's not all lovey-dovey. I actually disagree. I think there are moments where when you have butterflies around somebody, I literally disapprove with that statement for everybody. What if those butterflies are, oh my God, something exciting happened, or oh my God, this thing that hasn't happened for a long time just happened, or oh, I haven't felt like this in a long while and something awakened you. I think it kind of depends on your personality and your growth to be able to decipher if something is healthy for you or regulates your nervous system. I know when I started yelling at my last two situationships before we split up, I was like, yeah, okay, obviously that's not good for my nervous system. And no, I did not have butterflies around them. But when I was yelling, I was like, okay, yeah, it probably is a reaction to my nervous system. So, to each their own. But again, on paper, this guy that was like, yes, I will love you. Yes, I will marry you. It was all a fucking lie. It was all something on paper to show to friends and family. And then this guy that absolutely could not commit because of his own problems that he was having was the best lover on the planet, was the most romantic guy I've ever experienced, that made me relax and calm and feel at peace. And oh my gosh, again, I gave my life to one person. I gave my soul to another person. Maybe for some people it's possible to do both. I would love to believe that you can do both. But I think for me, if I wait to put somebody in a box because Evelyn, they have to treat you well, they have to be a good communicator, they have to be able to afford their lifestyle and also be able to be a gentleman with you, whatever that looks like, 9 to 5 type of job so that you can come home with him and share your nights with him and yada, 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 yada. You can have this laundry list of things that you want in somebody. And it's like, watch yourself not get that. And it's like, if you strip away all of the labels and the checklists and the laundry lists of what you need, and you just experience life without that label, not worrying about how it looks, I think that's more honest, more authentic, and more you. And I don't think this episode will relate to everybody, especially with social media, with all the pretend therapists out there that say this is what love looks like. But I think for some people, I hope it will resonate with you. And it certainly is interesting to me, because I got to a point where I was like trying to understand how I could have good sex with someone I didn't like. And I'm like, it took me a while to figure it out because I didn't want to accept the answer. I was going against how I felt. But how I felt was honest. And what I felt was, I want to experience pleasure. I want to experience romance. I want to experience chemistry. And if that person is treating you well, like, what does it matter what it looks or sounds like? Here I was telling these 2 guys in my past, like, oh, I want a relationship. Like, I want it to look like this. You got to treat me to dinner and put a condom on just so that it's the bare minimum of what I want. And yes, I mean, that's like true. But it was also getting me further away from the things that I actually wanted. It's actually kind of reminding me of this quote. I think it's from Marcus Aurelius. All my quotes are from Marcus Aurelius. Of course it is. But I think it said, let go. Oh, man. Let's see if I can quote it because I want to do it accurately. Lao Tzu. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. I think that quote hits differently in a lot of different places of your life and stages of your life. I'm just like passionate talking right now. I don't know if you guys can like pick up on that. Maybe another version. Now, there's no wrong answer. There's many different versions of what that could mean. I'm thinking of like 2 off the top of my head. I do still want a relationship. I do want that wonderful person in my life. But if I let go of all that mumbo jumbo, not only will I find it anyways, but I will do it by being more authentic and honest with who I am now. And it's wild to me to think to myself, well, Evelyn, you can't just call up a guy and say you want sex. And then, as my therapist would probably say, and also my friend said earlier, why the fuck not? Like, why is pleasure such a bad thing? Why are you so why do you have so much shame thinking that it's not? Obviously, it has to be done right. I'm not some booty call. I'm not some piece of meat. You can't just be gross about it. God, I had a friend the other day. I don't want to call him out. My CPA was like, sometimes he flirts with me and he made this comment. He's like, oh, you would know if I wanted to do something with you. I would, and he was joking, but also I know he was serious and it was like gross to me. But he was like, oh, you would know. It'd be like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And I would be messaging you 30 minutes before saying like, okay, I'm coming over, Evelyn. Like, we're going to get that drink. I'm like, really? If we had sex for the very first time, like, that's how you're going to woo me? Obviously, no, not everyone gets to join the Evelyn bandwagon train. Not everybody gets to have a piece of this. Man, when you're doing it right, there's nothing wrong with it. I thought it was interesting that guy didn't offer me pizza. He was just being himself. He did drive super fucking far away. he did offer, or he didn't offer me a slice, he gave me a slice. Regardless, maybe I liked the fact that he wasn't trying to have ulterior motives. He wasn't trying to be sly or sneaky about it. He was just going with the moment. You know what I mean? And it's ironic because you can't really hate a guy like this, because he ended up spending the night, and my work was really slow the next day. So I thought I was going to be starting at 6 a.m. So he's like, yeah, it's okay. I can get up early. And I didn't have work for the next 3 hours. So like I made us some coffee and we warmed up his leftover pizza, and we had pizza for breakfast and coffee and talked for another 3 hours. And I was like, damn, like that was actually very pleasant. It was very real. It was very natural and raw and organic for me. And I'm not going to say I like this guy because I don't, but I have to contend with the fact that, you know, and I told him, I didn't even say like, hey, if you ever want to get together to book, let me know. I didn't say that. I guess you could have read in between the lines, but I kind of just like left it open. And I do feel like weird saying like, well, if it, you know, was a reversed scenario, would I want someone just randomly having sex with me? And then I thought about it. I'm like, well, things are only based off of your experience anyways. I don't have random guys just trying to be sleazy and like just have sex with me that don't like me. I don't have that. So I can't be the one to talk about that or judge that situation. So it was a little awkward for me to be telling this guy like, hey, yeah, like I literally said, I'm not trying to treat you like a piece of meat. I'm not just trying to like, you know, want you just for this. I said like, it was just pleasure for me. And that's what it was. It was pleasurable for me. And I think that's probably why I didn't say, so if you ever want to do it again sometime, like, cause I didn't lead it with a question. It was more just like a statement, like, hey, it's okay to have pleasure. It's okay to want to be in a relationship, but not with him, but enjoy the ride along the way. And I think what I'm trying to say, there's no, it should look like this, it should be like that. Maybe in a fantasy world and on Instagram, your relationship and love should look like this. The fuck? How do you know? How do you fucking know? What if something happens when you're not trying to put labels or judgments or assumptions on it or a laundry list, and you just let it flow? You just let it flow and see what happens. Maybe that is how you get the guy that you actually want to be with, when you're not putting all these parameters on it. Because I believe that if you like someone and they liked you, sleeping with them on the first night, I guarantee you that guy, if he really likes you and you really like him and you had really great chemistry and you were talking at the long hours, and, you know, there's that stigma, I can't sleep with him for the first time. Well, what if you fucking did sleep with him for the first time? And then the next day he's like, hey, you want to go get breakfast? Man, that sounds like a dreamy fucking scenario. That's always like the fantasy in my head where like you don't have to put labels on something. And I think that's why I've been like thinking about this guy, because it's not about him. It's about what it represents. The fact that I was with a stranger, there were no strings attached. I didn't have to pick him apart and say all these reasons why I didn't like him. I just went with the flow. And because of that, I had a great time. So I just think there's something to that. You know, I get a lot of shit where people are like, don't sleep with the guy on the first time. Like, he's not going to like you. I'm like, what are we? Going back to the Stone Age, Christian propaganda, Mormon, you know, religion propaganda? Are we going off of like what's good? It depends on the person. Obviously, it depends on your life and what works for you. Maybe you do need to do things a little bit more structured. Some of us need to fucking relax and not be so fucking structured. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, I remember I told this guy that I was in a situationship a while ago. I said, my grandma and aunt, my whole family said the reason why you're an asshole to me is because I slept with you on the first date. Is that why you're an asshole? He's like, because, you know, he has sex issues, right? And he also he was raised in a cult. He's not anymore, but I think, you know, probably some of that propaganda is still in his head a little bit. He's like, Evelyn, no. He's like, I would have rather you told me what you want and what you needed because that's more important. Like, I'm not going to fucking like judge you because we had sex. Like, that's fucking weird. I mean, he was just an asshole on his own, but had nothing to do with the fact that we had sex for the first night is the point that I'm making. And this is not like a, hey, everybody go out and have sex on the first date. It literally is a case-by-case basis of what works for you, what kind of situation is flowing for you. But it's just fascinating to me. When I put down all the rules and regulations of what it should look like and blah, 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 I mean, that's what got me wound up in a loveless marriage. And I couldn't understand why for 15 years I loved this other man. Well, you loved him because it was him that you loved. You loved you around him. You loved him. You loved the life you guys shared with each other. I ask myself all the time, well, Evelyn, if bleep could not give you the life you wanted and he could never commit and he could never, you know, marry you. I'm like, and I tell myself this like all the time. If that guy wanted to love me and be there for me and support me and was a good man and we had a good life and he was respectful and he was a gentleman, but he couldn't be in a relationship, yeah, I would choose still being with him. I would be able to say that now because it's not me thinking about him like, oh, we didn't have babies and we didn't have these types of jobs and we didn't have a relationship. That didn't matter. What mattered was the love that I had for him, and that was irreplaceable. And if that meant that in some circumstances that we weren't going to get married or have babies or be in a relationship, so be it. And I think maybe to Lau's point, how would you say that? Tzu, Lao Tzu. I don't want to butcher it. TZU. Or I really do think it was actually Marcus Aurelius, but I'm telling you, there's the version in my head is from Marcus Aurelius, but whatever. I'll find it later and put it in the bio. I do, ironically, now this is a new concept, so bear with me. It's going to take a little bit of practice, but I think if I would have loved the man that I loved and didn't put pressure on him to be in a relationship or it had to look or act a certain way, it probably would have ended up in a relationship or marriage with kids if I didn't put that pressure on it. If you choose to love your partner in their strengths and their weaknesses and you help them through it and you're not judgmental of them, you don't criticize them, you don't ridicule them, you don't make them feel like shit because it's been 5 years and he still hasn't put a ring on it. It's like Ben Affleck and Jennifer Aniston and He's Not That Into You. It's totally what it was, like that dynamic. I mean, if you've ever, basically they were in a very long relationship and he couldn't commit and she gave him shit for it. And he was like crying essentially because they had such this amazing relationship and he didn't want it to go away just because he had to get married. But he was the one that like took care of her when her dad died and was a good man, and all these married men that were like around her in her family's life were like shitheads and like lazy. And he ended up marrying her anyways. But I think the point of that is to just kind of let it flow. And if you take all of that gunk off and you just allow yourself to be you and free and honest, whatever that looks like, even if it's a little shameful to you, if you're like, oh man, I really just want to have sex with this guy and that's all it is. But like my friend said, he's like, well, as long as he doesn't have feelings, as long as you guys update each other, then no one gets hurt. And he says if he ends up getting feelings, that's on him. That's not your fault. I was like, man, is it that simple? Is it that simple? And for me, I haven't experienced that before. So I've never had sex with a guy that I didn't end up having feelings for. And this is the first time where I am or did. I'm like, man, it's kind of great. And you can kind of just like shake off all the rest. And so, interesting, right? This was in no way to tell you how to think or feel or say that this is the right kind of life for you. Again, it's different for every person. But I think there's something to this. And I think some of you out there might be able to relate. I hope some of this made sense to you. Anyways, we're going to see how it goes. I'm still going to look for my person. Probably not on dating apps because that was atrocious, the times that I tried that. And it felt forced and it felt gross and I didn't like doing that. But now I'm not even going to say I'm looking in a relationship. I'm just going to live and be and flow and see what happens. And if I catch feelings along the way with someone who's wonderful and respectful and kind and loving and communicative and a good man, and something happens along the way, fucking great. Because that's what you wanted all along. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. This is Reflections of Evelyn. Take care. I'm going to go hang out with some teenage girls and listen to some teeny bopper music and be very annoyed at the shrills and the screams and be pigging out in the corner with like I don't know, it's not going to be the same food, but they had these like donut sundaes and these iced coffees. It's like prom. So it's like fancy shit. I'm super fucking excited. Oh, man. I get to be all dolled up and just be me and enjoy myself. Fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah. All right, well, I hope a boy asks me to dance. I should not say that. A man. Oh my God, that sounded really bad. I was channeling my inner, child. I hope a man asks me to dance. No, that would be weird. I'm working. You get my point. But, cuteness, romance, love it. Very excited. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Take care. Besos. Also, per usual, if you want to, no pressure, let me know what you think. Did any of this make sense to you? Tell me my brain made sense to you. Some of you, maybe. Concepts. These are theories and concepts. Take it with a grain of salt. Make it into a religion. I don't give a shit. Although, maybe don't make it into a religion. You know what? Make it into a religion. I don't give a shit. Do whatever you want with it. But be kind, be loving. Don't monopolize on it. Don't capitalize on it. But, be good. Be kind. Do it with good motives. All right, I gotta go. I gotta figure out where my exit is. Okay, bye. Love you.
All right, it's your turn. Let's do this. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. Spend a little time with me, and maybe you will see just temporary